Greetings Canadians, and welcome to my version 260 quality of life and mechanics overview video, where we'll be going over just about every single new addition to the game, and more accurately, the ones that I think are more critical, the ones that are minor I will not be including. And the first of which is the skill sequence system. This new system allows for a quick and easy way to get all your buffs for your burst done in a single input. This new system shares a similar UI to the combo key system, where you'll be able to specify how many slots you want to use. Furthermore, we can also give these sequences names to specify certain things. For example, one can be full burst and the other one can be half burst. And by toggling the sequence notification button at the bottom left corner of the UI, you can actually get a little bit of a display at the bottom right corner of your screen whenever you use your sequence to showcase which skills got used and which ones did not. And some little details to cover are the following. The skill sequence hotkey displays the longest remaining cooldown of all of the register skills in that specific sequence that you set, meaning that only the longest cooldown will be the one that's visible on the hotkey itself. Skills with active cooldowns or reusable features that will not be used if attempting to activate the full sequence. Also, if you lack the mana for a certain skill in that sequence, it will be skipped over, or if you're also a gauge class and you lack the gauge needed for that skill, those skills will also be skipped over. And if you're in the air and a skill requires you to be on solid ground, that skill will also not activate either. And lastly, any skills that require an interaction key, such as an arrow key input, will not respond to the activation of a sequence, so those must be used separately. And for the interactive world maplers, the Cross-World Auction House is finally making its debut. Currently, as of the recording of this video, Scania, Barra, Aurora, and Elysium will have their own group, while Challenger World will be in its own group for the duration of its active status, which means you will not be able to trade or transfer via the auction house for Challenger World events. And for the EU, they also have a split between their Interactive World and the Challenger World, although that feels a little redundant, but okay. There are also some important things to know, but as of my knowledge of the auction house is limited, I will not attempt to summarize and cut out what I think is unimportant, but instead will ask you all to read what is on screen now to avoid any mislabeling information and potentially misleading people in general. And with the Cross-World Auction House, we also get the Cross-World Meso market, and like with the auction house, this one is also separated into groups. But the difference being that the Challenger Worlds are also included in their respective NA and EU specific groups, so this will be interesting for those who are looking to get a jump start on those specific worlds. And as per usual, some important factors are the following. The first being, any active Meso trades can only be claimed in the world that the trade started in, so you will not be able to transfer Mesos from one world to the other, even if they're in the same group, unless there was a purchase from an outside source besides yourselves. And you can also request a total of 100 trades per day per account now. But there's also a little bit more for the Cross-World Meso market, but I'll keep this video brief on matters and simply leave the screenshot on screen for your convenience, so feel free to pause it now to actually read it. The next on our list is the Genesis Weapon Awakening changes. The Genesis Weapon Liberation changes are upon us and making liberating for far easier for the general population and the entirety of Maplestory as well. Some key takeaways from the new system and changes are the following. You no longer need to kill Black Mage for the quest, but it does still help to actually speed things along if you kill him. Secondly, bosses from Normal Lotus up to Black Mage drop things called Traces of Darkness, which are used in place of the Black Mage kill itself from the previous liberation system. For the Traces of Darkness, you can only have a total of 1500 accumulated at once. Any extra will be deleted. And each of the specific liberation missions require a specific amount of Traces of Darkness. For the first 3 missions, you will only need 500 for each, while the remaining quests you will need a total of 1000 for each mission. Traces of Darkness also suffer from the total party member mechanic as well, like with the boss crystals themselves. The amount of people in your party will cause the traces to be split in their amount by the amount of people in your party. Even if they have already liberated their weapons, they'll still count towards the split. And the last thing I'd like to cover on this post is that the information on whether or not the traces are affected by the red and green dot mechanic in Reboot is currently unknown. But once I do get my hands on that information, I'll be sure to post it on my socials as soon as I can, as well as down in the description in this video. The next change is to Monster Park. For Monster Park itself, the medals requirement has been reduced from 77 total clears for each of the days, down to instead to a total of 30 daily kills for each of the days, or 3 Monster Park Extreme runs to complete the quest. And if you have any characters that have already done the 30 runs for each day before the patch had happened, you'll be able to claim the medal automatically due to conversion of the quest after the maintenance. For Monster Park Extreme, it has been changed from a daily to a weekly, where the EXP is now 4 times the base amount for each run, but we get 2 total per week. And according to the wording on the patch notes, it looks like we can only do this across 2 characters but not twice on the same character per week. And unfortunately, Monster Park Extreme is no longer affected by the Sunny Sunday effects. The next is the Epic Dungeon changes. And like with Monster Park, the Epic Dungeon now has its increased weekly limit to be a total of 2 characters per week. And unfortunately, you have to do one of each of the 2 dungeons. You cannot simply do 2 characters to both do Angler Company or High Mountain. It has to be split. Furthermore, on the topic of epic dungeons, for High Mountain, several of its stages have been significantly reduced in its requirements, making them faster to run in general. Also, the devs have finally fixed this, as of this recording, 306 stupid days to fix this screw-up that they did nearly a year ago. The stupid bug where the bees will lag the heck out of your game is finally being acknowledged by the company and fixed. Let's actually see if that's actually truly fixed though. The next on our list is the Soul Erda conversion changes. Excess Soul Erda now has a purpose beyond just stacking to 20. You can now convert your Erda into either a faint Soul Erda energy or a Hexa booster, which is similar to the VIP boosters. For the exchange, you can either trade 1 Erda for 30 energy items or for 1 Hexa booster. And for the Hexa boosters, they can only be used on characters that have completed their 6 job advancement. And finally, at last, the Auto Harvest Profession System's improvements. Finally, the stupid system has gone the needed changes. Not entirely, but it's getting there. The system now has a notification alert for the following when they have occurred. The first of which is when harvesting is completed, or when you're logging in while the auto harvest is still in progress, a display of the remaining time will appear, and when the harvest is resetted, and lastly, if you have not turned on the harvest in general. Some additional noted changes are the following. Total harvest time has been reduced from 8 hours down to 4. Auto harvest now, and it's finally there, will auto resume when you switch characters, but only when you have re-entered the game. So if you're in the character selection screen, it will not count any time while you were there. The daily limit on the profession credits have been increased from 50 to 300 per day. And the weekly credits per week now has a total of 2100 coins limited, compared to the 1050 limit from before. Also, some items have had their stock quantity increased as well. And lastly, we've also just had an Android added to the shop. And the next change is another one that people were highly anticipating. It is the Link skill revamp. There is now no longer a daily transfer limit, nor a Meso penalty as well. To access the new window, you have to go to your beginner tab and use the Link Manager skill as usual. And like with the previous system, you can add and remove with the plus and minus signs, and like before, we still get 3 presets to mess around with. And next on our list is the quest improvements. Finally, all of the Arcane River and Grandis pre-quests can now be skipped entirely by your characters within the same account, not just the same world. And when I mean skipped, I mean entirely. There's no stupid dialogue, there's no like cutscenes anymore, that's all been removed. And that also goes for the Chaos Rudibus questline. This will allow you to skip through the whole thing entirely as well. And that also goes for the regular bosses as well. They removed just about every single one. And as for the symbol quests for Arcane River and Grandis, they are the following changes. Grandis quests and Arcane River quests have been reduced their either kills by a total of 200, and they all start from 500 down to 300 down to 100, and that also includes Arcane River. I do not know why they reduced that as well, but they did. And even more on the changes is for the Arcane River symbols from the weekly minigame content that you can do for them. You now get 40 symbols total per run instead of the 15 per run, which increases up to 120 per week total per region. The next is the Legion board improvements. The Legion board finally has an automatic placement feature built into the game. No more needing to use the third-party programs to solve this for us, but let's still take a moment to thank the people who made such programs in the first places. And as for the features on this, I'll be making a demo video in the future on this, as this is a little bit more complex and I do not want to fill up too much time about this. So that'll be in its own designated video. The next is for medals and titles. For both of them, you can now customize their appearance by using their new built-in feature that can be found in the Equip Inventory UI. Similar to the Anvil system, there is an appearance and function slot for which one you want to wear and which ones you want the appearance of. And as for the medals in general, they now have a bit of a facelift to their UI, which I will honestly say, it doesn't even look that bad. Good job, Nexon. I'll give you that. The next on our list is the Keybinding. The Keybinding system has had some much needed quality of life. For starters, you can now designate saves keybindings to have them shared across all your characters upon creation. So, this will save you some hassle in setting up your preferred defaults. Furthermore, you can also import presets from one to another, making testing new keybinding layouts without having to actually manually copying everything is now a simpler task. The next on our changes is the map and movement improvements. There are now little town portals in every major town. Using those portals will act like the old Pantheon portal with just a fancier UI and more selections. Hyper Rock has been removed from the cash shops and have been given a default function in general, which removes that you actually need to go purchase one, but the default is now that there actually is a 5-minute cooldown to interact with each specific map to teleport through them. Although, they have introduced a new item called the Premium Hyper Rock. Yeah, big surprise. Which removes the cooldown that they've added. You can now purchase this item via the World Map UI, which honestly speaking is a big win for reboot players, but less so for interactive servers, as we no longer need to actually enter the cash shop to purchase those items, and it's still purchasable with Mesos, and a 1-month duration too as well. And including the ones that happened to the Hyper Rock, the world map has also had a specific change to accompany those previously noted ones. Details such as the map type, minimum entry level, Star Force, Arcane Force, Sacred Power requirements, as well as details on the NPC and enemy details that have been given more details on the map UI itself. And as for the boss and mob improvements, the new loot distribution system is now in GMS. When this setting is turned on, the following will take effect. All party members will receive the boss entry crystal drop while the other items are distributed randomly. And the rewards are now divided equally among all party members via the boss reward UI that appears after defeating a boss. And while the new system is actually active for that party, for any higher value items that drop, such as pitched boss items, each party member will receive a random number from 1 to a 999 when the boss has been defeated, and the player with the highest number will win that item. Items won in this system will have those rewards moved to the storage room UI in the boss rewards tab. And the last on the list of our critical changes are the guild skills quality of life changes. They are finally here. The cooldowns have been dropped from 60 minutes down to 5 minutes, and the cost to reset them has also been reduced from 30 mil to 5 mil each. Also, guild skills no longer are able to be popped inside boss fights, so be sure to pop them outside before you enter. This view is completely unneeded, but my only assumption is that this is to combat people from using 1 hour total of guild skills for any ultra min-max black mage runs. And now that we're done, please take note that any and all quality of life changes or mechanical additions to the game for version 260 was only added if I thought they were important or critical. If there's one that you think I missed or do you think that should be on the list, please let me know in the description and I'll have them pinned down below as well. Hi everyone, Peanut here again. I hope this video helped you in some way in understanding what was covered, and if you have any questions, please feel free to comment them down below and I'll answer them as soon as I'm able to, or as soon as I'm able to find the answer. Furthermore, I have officially branched off my non-guide related content from Maplestory onto a live stream and general variety content channel. And if you're interested in seeing those type of videos, please consider subscribing to Green Up Peanut Live, as I need to reach 1,000 subs in order to get that channel officially situated. Other than that, thanks for watching and the continued support, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye!